Ladies and gentlemen, the seminar and FGD is about to begin in just 5 minutes. Please kindly be seated and ready to have a pleasant event. Thank you. Honorable Chairman National Research and Innovation Agency, Republic of Indonesia, represented by Director of Technology Transfer and Technology Audit, Dr. Edi Hilmawan, Master of Engineering, the Ambassador of Italy to Indonesia, East Timor and ASEAN, represented by Head of the Economic and Commercial Section, Dr. Giovanni Vinarelli Baldassare. Scientific Attaché of the Embassy of Italy in Jakarta, Professor Roberto Carnil. Chairman of Research Organization for Health, National Research and Innovation Agency, Professor Dr. Indi Darmayanti, Master of Science. Head of Aikman Research Center for Molecular Biology, Dr. Elizabeth Farah, PhD. The Ministry of Health Indonesia, Professor David. Italiana Liver Foundation, and all invited guests and attendees who attend today's event. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, Salam Kebajikan. Good morning. I would like to welcome you all in this seminar and forum group discussion, Scientific Cooperation in Liver Research between Indonesia and Italy. It is an honor for me, Dea Mala, to stand before you and extend a warm welcome to all of you in this very important event. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, please stand up for Indonesian and Italian national anthem. Ladies and gentlemen, please kindly be seated. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, our first agenda is the opening session. I would like to invite the Chairman, National Research and Innovation Agency, represented by Director of Technology Transfer and Technology Audit, Dr. Edi Hilmawan, Master of Engineering. Time is yours.
Our distinguished guest, Mr. Roberto Carniel, the scientific attaché from the Embassy of Italy, Jakarta, and Mr. Giovanni Vinarelli Baldassare, from the Second Secretary of Head of the Economic and Commercial Sectors from the Embassy of Italy. Our representative from the Ministry of Health Indonesia, and also the Ibu Elizabeth Farah, the head of the Research Center of Molecular Research Center, Eijkman. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Ladies and gentlemen, first of all, I would like to express my apologize because our chairman, Mr. Handoko, could not attend this very important meeting today. So I will deliver the opening remarks on behalf of our chairman. So, ladies and gentlemen, I will extend you a warm and gracious welcome to this esteemed event, scientific cooperation in liver research between Indonesia and Italy. So it is an immense pleasure to have such a distinguished gathering of experts and professionals from the fields of science, medicine, and policymakers. Today we come together to celebrate the collaboration and exchange of knowledge between two nations, Indonesia and Italy, in the crucial area of liver research. So this event is not only signifies the strengthening of the scientific bonds between Indonesia and Italy, but also serve as a platform to implement the formal research collaboration following the memorandum of understanding between two nations, which has signed in 2022. So this collaboration reflects our shared commitment to foster scientific cooperation and promote the advancement of liver research. It outlines our joint effort to address the challenge posed by liver diseases and to find effective solutions that will benefit our societies and the global community at large. By organizing this event, we aim to harness the collective wisdom and expertise of scientists, clinicians, and governments from both Indonesia and Italy. Together, we will explore innovative research, exchange best practices, and develop collaborative initiatives that will drive progress in liver health. And I would like to express my deepest gratitude to all the participants present here today. Your presence and active engagement demonstrate your dedication to advancing liver research. It is through our collective efforts that we will have the ability to effect real change and make a lasting impact on the lives of individuals affected by liver diseases. Throughout the course of this event, I would encourage you all to actively participate in discussions, share insights, and forge meaningful connections. Let us seize this opportunity to foster partnerships and collaborations that transcend borders as we work together to unlock new possibilities in liver health research. And once again, finally, I extend my warmest welcome to each and every one of you. Thank you for being a part of this significant event. Together, let us embark on this journey of scientific exploration and collaboration, united by the common goal of improving liver health, not only in Indonesia and Italy, but also worldwide. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Edi Hilmawan. The next opening remarks from the Ambassador of Italy to Indonesia, East Timor, and ASEAN, represented by of the Economic and Commercial Session, Dr. Giovanni Vinarelli Baldassare. Time's yours.
Terima kasih banyak. Selamat pagi semuanya. Good morning to everyone. Today, unfortunately, Ambassador Benedetto Latteri cannot be present, so I will represent him and speak on his behalf. To say I will have the honor to open this event. First of all, let me thank sincerely and deeply Dr. Edi Ilmawan, Director of Technology Transfer and Audit System that represents the Chairman of BRIN, Dr. Elisabeth Farah Coutier, the head of Eichmann Research Center for Molecular Biology, Professor David Muliono from the Ministry of Health and the Indonesia Academy of Sciences, Dr. Ernawati Arifin from the Institute Teknologi Bandung, Professor Nando Campanella from the De Martinis Telemedicine Panel, Dottoressa Silvia Gazzarin from the Italian Liver Foundation, and all the heads of research centers of BRIN, but also all the scientists and researchers that are participating to this event. More in general, I would like to thank the National Research and Innovation Agency of the Republic of Indonesia and the Fondazione Italiana Fegato Onlus for the excellent collaboration with the Embassy of Italy in Jakarta for the organization of this seminar. And I would like to stress how the Italian Ministry of Foreign Affairs, through its Italian Embassy in Jakarta, and the management talenta of BRIN are committed to facilitate scientific exchanges between Italy and Indonesia. All of these initiatives are meant to help advance liver disease research in the country, which has already produced numerous outcomes in the form of scientific publication as well as research activities. This represents a case step in the development of relationships between two countries willing to collaborate on specific issues, such this very important one. We are aware of the importance of people-to-people collaboration and how these relations between private enterprises, cultural stakeholders, and in this case, scientific communities can bring closer to countries so geographically distant like Italy and Indonesia. Specifically, I would like to highlight the importance of our bilateral research and technology collaboration in liver diseases between Italy and Indonesia, between the Ministry of Research and Technology of the Republic of Indonesia and Fondazione Fegato Onlus. This is a partnership that began in 2005 and has seen a succession of agreements between Fondazione Italiana Fegato and many Indonesian research centers with the aim of enhancing scientific and educational activities. I would also like to mention the importance of the Memorandum of Understanding signed in 2022 by BRIN and Fondazione Italiana Fegato to expand their cooperation between the two research institutes and consequently between our two countries. I hope that the memorandum will continue to be a corner for future collaboration, always more deeply and always more ambitiously. This can combine the Italian and Indonesian knowledge on this specific topic. So this can be the groundstone from which we will develop our future partnership on medical issues. As an evidence of the embassy's commitment on the health sector, moreover, I would like to highlight how today's event will not be an isolated activity in this month. In fact, on the 18th of July, we will hold a hybrid seminar in partnership with the Italian Business Association in Indonesia on the local pharmaceutical sector and how Italian companies can assist Indonesia in developing its own pharmaceutical industry. To conclude, I would like to extend again my gratitude to all the organizers and participants who have made today's event possible. Let us use this platform to deepen our collaboration, because events like this, forums, webinars, roundtables, are of the uttermost importance for scientific developments, for the wellness of patients affected by liver diseases worldwide, but also for the relations between Italy and Indonesia, between our countries and between our people. At this point, I leave the floor to Professor Carniel that will be able to start the technical discussions. Thank you again. Terima kasih banyak.
Thank you, Dr. Finarelli Baldassare. The next opening remarks will be delivered by Scientific Attaché of the Embassy of Italy in Jakarta, Professor Roberto Carniel. Time's yours.
Assalamualaikum, selamat pagi, selamat sejahtera bagi kita semua. Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, salam kebajikan. Yang saya hormati semua hadirin dalam pertemuan ini. Saya akan menyampaikan dalam bahasa Inggris. First of all, I would like to thank also on my side, Dr. already Hilmawan, Director of Technology Transfer and Knowledge Systems that represents also the Chairman of BRIN. Dr. Elizabeth Farah Couturier, the head of the Ejikman Research Center for Molecular Biology. Professor David Mulyono from the Ministry of Health and Indonesian Academy of Science. Dr. Ernawati Arifin from Institute of Technology Bandung, Professor Nando Campanella from the De Martinis Telemedicine panel, and Dr. Silvia Gazzin from the Fondazione Italiana Fegato. And of course, of the heads of research centers of the BRIN and all the researchers of BRIN that are here today. As a scientific attaché, my main task is to favor and to promote the scientific collaboration between the two countries, Italy and Indonesia. And if, of course, it is therefore a true honor for me to be here to open this significant event organized by Fondazione Italiana Fegato and Badan Riset dan Inovasi Nasional and the Embassy of Italy in Jakarta. We gather here to delve into a crucial topic that affects global health, globally, liver diseases. And as you are all aware, liver cancer stands as a major contributor to cancer-related deaths in both our nations, although the etiological factors behind differ between the two countries. In Southeast Asia, and particularly Indonesia, chronic hepatitis B infection is predominant, where in Europe, including Italy, metabolic disorders and chronic hepatitis C are primary concerns. Despite our respective efforts, which include, for example, nationwide hepatitis B vaccination programs for newborn and also for high-risk groups, the global burden of chronic liver diseases, including liver cancer, continues to rise. This calls for the need not only of national, but also of international research efforts. International collaboration is vital for advancing our understanding of these diseases, from basic research to effective management strategies. Today's event marks a significant step forward in this collaborative effort. It brings together experts from Indonesia and Italy to engage in scientific discussions, share insights, and explore recent advancements in liver disease research. And moreover, it aims to foster new partnerships and strengthen existing ones, paving the way for joint research projects and exchange programs. Together, we aim not only to highlight the impressive contribution of Indonesian and Italian scientists in the liver disease research, but also to share the agenda. By identifying priorities, addressing challenges, and assessing opportunities, we can make substantial strides in fighting liver diseases on a global scale. Dr. Finarelli already mentioned the important Memorandum of Understanding, MOU, signed in 2022 between BRIN on the Indonesian side and Fondazione Italiana Fegato on the Italian side to enhance the collaboration between the two research institutes. And as a scientific attaché, I want to stress that the MOU, sometimes it is seen like at first sight as an empty box. But of course, you cannot fill a box with science if you don't even have a box. So that's why signing MOUs is an important and essential step. And this is why BRIN is actually very active in the process of signing MOU with the other Italian research institutes in other fields. BRIN, as you know, is a very multidisciplinary research institute, and it has therefore already signed MOU with, for example, with ICTP, the International Center for Theoretical Physics, which by chance is also based in Trieste, also focusing on the specific subject of biodiversity. It has signed an MOU with AISF, Accademia Italiana di Scienze Forestali in Florence, involving in particular the botanical gardens of Florence and Bogor. It has signed a memorandum of understanding with the Università Napoli Orientale, in particular focusing on archaeology, oral traditions, literature, and language, because Università Napoli Orientale is the only university in Italy that actually where you can study the Indonesian language and Indonesian culture and literature. And a wider memorandum of understanding is actually being agreed upon between BRIN and the Italian Ministry of University of Research, and this is very important. And I strongly hope that it will be soon followed by another one between BRIN and Italian CNR, which is the Consiglio Nazionale delle Ricerche, which is probably the Italian research institute that most resembles BRIN itself. So as you can see, we are strongly committed on the two sides to increase the scientific collaboration between the two countries. And I'm here available and willing to help anybody of you to establish new contacts with Italian researchers and institutions. So thank you again and achieve the best out of this scientific morning.
Thank you, Professor Roberto Carnil. The next opening remarks from the Chairman of Research Organization for Health, National Research and Innovation Agency, Professor Dr. Indi Darmayanti. And on this occasion, remarks will be delivered via video presentation.
Honorable His Excellency Ambassador Benedetto Latri, the Ambassador of Italy to Indonesia, Honorable Dr. Laksana Trihandoko, the Chairman of BRIN, Honorable Professor Edi Giri Rahman Putra, Deputy Chairman of Human Resources of Science and Technology of BRIN, Honorable of Prof. Roberto Carnil, Scientific Attaché of Embassy of Italy in Jakarta. Distinguished speakers, Professor David Mulyono, Professor Claudio Tribelli, Professor Nando Campanella, Dr. Enawati Arifin, Dr. Cecilia Sukowati, and Dr. Sylvia Gesin. Respected colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. First, let us express our gratitude to the presence of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala that we are in a good health and we can be here to attend this event. On behalf of the Research Organization for Health, National Research and Innovation Agency of Indonesia, I would like to deliver my opening remarks on the scientific cooperation in liver research between Indonesia and Italy. This event is organized by the Research Organization for Health of BRIN, Italian Liver Foundation, NPO in Trieste, and the Italian Embassy in Jakarta. Ladies and gentlemen, chronic liver disease is one of the major health problems worldwide. It is the cause of the around 2 million mortality per year, where 1 million deaths are due to the chronic infection of the hepatitis virus and live cancer. For hepatitis B, 3 countries, China, India, and Indonesia, represent 50% of the global burden in 2022. The development of liver diseases is also associated with the etiological factors and geographical distribution. Management of the disease and finding specific biomarkers for Indonesian cases might be different from the cases in other countries. Continuous viral replication and mutation may contribute to development of resistance to antiviral therapies, necessitating for ongoing research effort to identify novel treatment strategies and overcome resistance mechanism. Global effort has been carried out to tackle the epidemiology and in the management of the disease, including nationwide and obligatory neonatal hepatitis B vaccine administration. However, the global trends of chronic liver diseases, including incidence and mortality due to liver cancer, are still increasing, indicating the necessity for both national and international research collaboration to better understand basic study and the management of the diseases. Ladies and gentlemen, today we gather here in presence and online through virtual meeting to discuss scientific aspects regarding liver diseases. The primary objective is to facilitate scientific discussion among Indonesian and Italian experts in the field. Both Indonesian and Italy face the same problems in liver diseases. As can be seen from the topics that will be presented by our distinguished speakers today, we will obtain current information on chronic hepatitis and translational hepatology, liver cancer, vaccine development, telemedicine, and bilirubin as the product of the liver. We hope that this event will encourage further collaboration and networking between Indonesian and Italian scientists involved in the liver disease research, and even will reach out to wider extents of international collaboration. We aim to foster partnership that will lead to joint research projects, exchange programs, and collaborative initiatives. Eventually, we hope to contribute to global health effort to reduce morbidity and mortality associated with the chronic liver diseases. Finally, we hope that the result of today can broaden insight and exchange knowledge for the attending participants, especially for those involved in health research, and hopefully, in particular, liver researchers will gain valuable information. I hope the seminar will run smoothly with the maximum impact. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Professor Indi Darmayanti. The last opening remarks from Head of Aikman Research Center for Molecular Biology, Dr. Elizabeth Farah, PhD. Time's yours.
Good morning, selamat pagi, buongiorno. Distinguished Dr. Giovanni Finarelli Baldassare, the head of the Economic and Commercial Section Embassy of Italy in Jakarta, as a representative of the Benedetto Latteri, the ambassador of Italy to Indonesia, East Timor, and ASEAN. Distinguished Dr. Edi Hilmawan, Director of Technology Transfer and Audit System, to represent the Chairman of BRIN. Professor Roberto Carniel, Scientific Attaché of the Embassy of Italy in Jakarta. Professor Dr. NLP Indi Darmayanti, MSc, the Chairman of Research Organization for Health in the National Research and Innovation Agency. Also, respected speakers, Professor David Mulyono, MD, PhD, as Indonesian National Expert Committee on Hepatitis, the Ministry of Health of Indonesia, Dr. Cecilia Sukawati, researcher from the Aikman Research Center for Molecular Biology, Dr. Ernawati Arifin, lecturer from School of Life Sciences and Technology, Institute Technology Bandung, Professor Nando Campanella from the Martinez Telemedicine Panel, Dr. Silvia Gassin from Italian Liver Foundation Trieste, and also who will join us, Professor Claudio Tiribelli from Italian Liver Foundation. It is with a great pleasure that we gather today to celebrate and highlight the collaborative efforts in liver research between Indonesia and Italy. Today events would mark a significant understanding on liver diseases, leveraging the expertise and resources from both nations. Through shared knowledge and innovation, we aim to make impactful strides in improving healthcare outcomes in Indonesia. We are honored to have with us distinguished representatives from the Italian embassies, officials from the Indonesian Agency for Research and Innovation, BRIN, and esteemed colleagues and scientists from the fields of medicine and biomedical research. Your presence underscores the importance of international cooperation in addressing complex health challenges. This occasion also recognizes the ongoing research collaboration and scientist exchanges between our two countries. These initiatives not only enhance our scientific capabilities, but also promote cultural understanding and friendship. Today's discussion will give us important information in liver research, fostering deeper connections and paving the way for future breakthrough. Thank you all for being part of this important dialogue. Grazie mille. Thank you very much. Terima kasih.
Thank you, Dr. Farah. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to invite Dr. Finarelli, Professor Muljono, Professor Campanella, and Dr. Gatsin to come forward and receive the plaque that will be given by Dr. Edi Hilmawan. Please give a warm round of applause. Yes, please give applause. Yeah, and please stay ahead. So please to be able to come forward. Professor Muljono, Dr. Sukawati, Dr. Arifin, Professor Campanella, and Dr. Gatsin as the speakers, and Dr. Elizabeth Farah, PhD, as the head of Eichmann Research Center for Molecular Biology. For take a picture. Okay. 3, 2, 1. Once more. 1, 2, 3. Once again. Enough? Yes. Yes. Thank you very much, everyone. Please kindly be seated. Yeah, thank you very much to Dr. Eddie Hilmawan for joining us. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we're about to start the seminar session. The focus of discussion is about scientific fest for liver research, and this session will be moderated by Cory L. Kobar, PhD, and Sri Jayanti Mda, PhD. Time's yours.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for our MC. So today we're going to start the scientific session and the presentations. The Honorable Professor Roberto Caniel, Scientific Attaché of the Embassy of Italy in Jakarta, Dr. Giovanni Finarelli Baldassare, Head of the Eichmann Research Center for Molecular Biology, the heads of Research Center for in Research Organization for Health, our honorable invitees, our distinguished speakers, respected colleagues, and ladies and gentlemen, good morning again. My name is Cory L. Kobar, and this is my colleague, Dr. Sri Jayanti from the Eichmann Research Center for Molecular Biology, who will act as your moderator for today. So we welcome you again to the seminar and focus group discussion, Scientific Cooperation in Liver Research between Indonesia and Italy. This event is jointly hosted by the Research Organization for Health of BRIN, the Italian Liver Foundation in Trieste, and also the Italian Embassy in Jakarta. We all know that chronic liver disease is one of the major health problems worldwide. And chronic liver disease, which is caused by chronic infection of viral hepatitis, may progress into liver cancer and now is one of the main cause of around 1 million deaths each year globally. It has been predicted that the numbers of chronic liver diseases will keep on increasing, which will be related to the changing etiological and also risk factors for the disease. Therefore, concerted global efforts to improve prevention, detection, cure, and management of the disease is needed by fostering both national and also international research collaborations to better understand different aspects related to the disease. So today's meeting is aimed to share current knowledge on liver disease to facilitate more scientific discussions among the researchers, highlight the research contributions, and also to advance the research activity by strengthening the existing institutional partnership and also promote further research collaborations. We have here today distinguished speakers from both Indonesia and Italy. They will talk on different aspects related to liver diseases, from basic to translational research, molecular mechanism of pathogenesis, prophylactic and therapeutic vaccine development, bilirubin metabolisms, and also telemedicine applications. We will have another Q&A discussion session after we hear all the speakers talk. And I would like to welcome all the participants to deliver your questions and comments to the speakers in person or through the chat feature if you are joining us through Zoom. So without further ado, let us begin the session. It is my honor to introduce our first speaker today, my mentor, Prof. David Handoyo Mulyono, MD, PhD, Chairman of the Indonesian Expert Committee for Hepatitis and Gastrointestinal Infection, Ministry of Health, Fellow of the Indonesian Academy of Science, and also member of the National Health Research Ethics Committee. He is also a professor of medicine at Universitas Hasanuddin in Makassar and also an honorary professor at Faculty of Medicine and Health, University of Sydney, Australia. His talk for today will be on chronic hepatitis B as a model for translational research in hepatology. I invite Prof. Mulyono to deliver his talk. Please, Prof.
Terus kalau mau nyarat
bisa karena layarnya
Gitu. Ini untuk jalan.
nanti dicoba juga.
Oke. Good morning, Professor Roberto Carniel, Professor Giovanni Finarel Baldassare, and Dr. Farah, Professor Indi also, I think, watching from online, and I'm sure that Professor Claudio Tribelli is also watching us. Good morning. Well, good morning, selamat pagi to everybody. I'm happy here. I'm happy to be here because this is a historical place where the collaboration between Indonesia and Italy began. I remember around almost 20 years ago, in the year 2005 and 2006, the collaboration started here. The time was Dr. Michele Miele, and after that, reciprocal exchange of scientists and speakers have occurred up to now. And I expect that next year we should celebrate the 20 years anniversary of our eternal collaboration. So may I start talking about something general, that is chronic hepatitis B as a model for translational research. So my focus is not on hepatitis, this is just a model, but I will be talking about translational research. Well, we know this, that to know is not enough, we must apply, and willing is not enough, we must do. This is my topics, started with what is translational research. Well, when we left the 20th century, it was the time of great triumph and also great tragedy, actually. We had scientific and technological knowledge has increased exponentially, and life-saving drugs and medical procedures helped people live healthier and longer. And intense focus on genes and proteins in molecular biology have occurred. But when we entered, and now we are in the beginning of the 21st century, we still face problems, non-communicable diseases, cancer, mental disorder, and aging, actually, are the challenge. And we still have pandemic risk and antimicrobial resistance throughout the world. And we are also facing climate change, environmental health, and pollution, and so on. So our progress actually have not been sufficient to address these challenges. So what should we do? There should be an effort to bridge the gap. And what is the gap? The answer is we need to work together and translate research product. We call this translational research. What is translational research? This is a research type that translates results in basic research into results that directly benefit humans. And why? Because there's a need to produce more meaningful and applicable results that directly benefit human health as individual and as community. And what is the aim? More basic science discoveries will be moved more quickly and efficiently into practice. That is the aim of translational research. Now, what are actually the reasons for translational research? Remember that one of the most significant motivations comes from studies that it takes a long time to move basic science ideas to practice and health impacts. Well, there has been some studies and it has been concluded in a meta-analysis that it takes an estimate average of 17 years for only 14% of new scientific discoveries to enter day-to-day clinical practice. We can see here that there is a study evaluating more than 1,000 research experiments. And well, yes, long and costly from discoveries in America and also in Europe to get approval from FDA and European Medical Authority. We can see that there are tens of thousands of potential new medicines and passing from clinical trials, only one was approved and it took around more than 10 years. And also it occurs in America. The development of medicine is very costly and also very long. So yes, this time lag is too long, certainly longer than necessary. And when it comes into practice, it is no longer relevant. And there must be a better way to move research to practice more quickly without sacrificing quality and increasing cost. And the proposed solution are better management of scientific research, increase process efficiency, and integrate the needs from each level, and evaluate the utilization and economic worth of the research product from each level. So there are some keywords. One of the most important is integration. So we come to the next, research and health. Well, this is the spectrum of translational research. Starting from the gene, from basic science, we have genetic background, we have environment, we have physical characteristics and also age of the individual, and we have also nutrition and lifestyle. Well, it starts with basic science, and it is translated into epidemiology and more practical things, and it will benefit individual patients or individual subjects, but it will be enlarged and expanded to cover the community. So the first benefit is clinical and science knowledge, but it will be translated further and ultimately improve individuals and community needs are fulfilled. Well, this is the natural cause of disease. We can see here that there's a span of time starting from low disease burden. By the time it will go up and it will become more costly, and the reversibility is very low and getting lower. And actually, there are some events and some factors that contribute. That the first is baseline risk. This is genetic predisposition or disease carrier. And there should be initiating events, and we come to help the patients with earliest diagnosis. This is the role of molecular immunology and biochemical detection. And we treat as early as possible, earliest clinical detection, and we also treat the patients. So, and this is the arena actually. We have a research arena, or starting from studying the baseline risk, preclinical progression, and we will overcome the complication and the impacts of the disease by disease in diagnostic studies. And we can see here that all efforts are directed to overcome what is actually can be initiated since the beginning. So I will give hepatitis B as a model in translational research. Actually, there are many examples from different diseases and health problems. The status of hepatitis B in 2019 and 2022. We have this problem. There are 259 million people have chronic hepatitis B with 820,000 deaths. Almost the same in the year 2022. We had 254 million people with higher deaths actually, because the death results from earlier diseases. And the incidence does not decrease significantly from 1.5 million new infections only to 1.2 million new infections. So this is still a challenge, and we don't feel it actually. But here in Southeast Asia and in other places, we have still the problem. And this is the spectrum of hepatitis B infection. I just want to show this, but not going to talk in detail. That started from acute infection. It may develop to chronic hepatitis, and then it will also develop to further complication, that is liver cirrhosis, and ultimately liver cancer, which will be discussed deeper later today. And remember that the chronic hepatitis doesn't necessarily have passed to liver cirrhosis, but it can develop directly to liver cancer because of the characteristics of the hepatitis virus that integrates with our own DNA. So the span is around 10 to 20 years. This is the spectrum. Well, this is actually a health problem. There have been two reports. The first is published in Lancet, and also in the WHO report, Global Hepatitis Report this year, because it appears around 1 month ago. And we can see that there are countries that represent 2/3 of the global disease burden of hepatitis B in 2022. And among these countries, China, India, and Indonesia represent 50% of the global burden. So we can see the graph on the right. So we go to the next concern. This is the worldwide relative contribution of hepatitis B and C viruses in liver cancer. In Europe, in USA, the median age of population is 41 years old, 38 years old, and East Asia, the median age is lower, younger, and in sub-Saharan Africa, the median age of liver cancer is only 18.3 years old. This is our challenge, that they are getting younger. And this is the progress that we started from the normal liver and injury, then continues with pre-cirrhotic level, cirrhosis and liver cancer. This is our concern also for this year, because perhaps 2 weeks from now, we will be celebrating the World Hepatitis Day, 28th of July. So I think we are talking in the right month. And I would show the data which also occurred in Indonesia, that there is an increasing incidence of liver cancer. Who will be at risk? People who were born before the immunization program are at risk. So we are facing this, and we try to calculate the trend line, and it is so significant. Now, this is the death due to liver cirrhosis and cancer. The proportion of deaths in the world. Hepatitis B contributes the highest occurrence, and also in Indonesia, the figure was obtained by analysis around 4 to 5 years ago. So similarly, hepatitis B contributes the highest proportion of cancer in Indonesia. So we come back to the translational research. Actually, research does not cease at its current position. It should be consistently updated within its work, and also pass the information to the next studies or the next level of studies. So actually, we have different kind of works. We come from different fields of scientists, and we have at least 5 groups. We do public health population study. We do the scientific research to get discovery. We can get candidates for application. It can be drugs, methods, or other things. Then, based on evidence base, we can give recommendation or develop policy, and then we can perform practice and control programs, and we return to the population to evaluate. So this is the translational research cycle. Now, the first step is population burden or health disease burden. We can see here, this is an example. The first, we should define the problems. We can see here that there's a national survey on pregnant women in Indonesia every year. Then in 2022, the estimated number of births was nearly 5 million, so 4.8 million. And around 60% of the pregnant mothers were tested. 2.9 million, and 1.6 pregnant mothers had hepatitis B positive. What are the implications? That means 670 women have risk of its complication, so developing cirrhosis, liver cancer, and so forth. And 90% of them will be the reservoirs for the transmission to babies, and then to horizontal transmission to the community. We can see also on the right side, this is also another problem, that there's an increase in the occurrence of hepatitis B positivity among health workers by years. So we can see the 3 groups of bars The first is in the first 5 years, 10 years, and more than 15 years. There's a sharp increase of the incidence and prevalence of hepatitis B among health workers. This is example of defining problems. So the second steps is scientific discovery. We work in labs on bench, and we could see that in Eichmann we could discover that actually the virus has mutated, and it produced occult hepatitis B because the virus does not synthesis hepatitis B surface antigen, which is used as a detecting tool. And those are the mutations. This should be followed up with further steps and translated to action. The second, we can see that there is also some mutations in the viral genomes, the basal core mutations that leads to the development of cancer. So those are the situation. And we also have some scientific discoveries on anti-cancer and antiviral, which are widely used and have been introduced for practice. And the third is candidate application. We can see here there are many candidates of drugs, and also candidates for application. We use antiviral activity to be given to pregnant mothers to intercept, to stop the transmissions before birth. So we can understand that the mothers carrying hepatitis B virus can pass the virus to the embryo during pregnancy. So this is a recommendation, and what has been started and initiated also in Indonesia and also in many countries. So then we come to the fourth, that based on this evidence, we started, or we gave recommendation, or we developed policy. In Indonesia, we gave vaccination to health workers and also antiviral to pregnant mothers. And we just released the guideline for hepatitis B, chronic hepatitis B in WHO. So then what next? We practice the control programs. We treat the health workers and we treat patients, and we also give individual patients. This is actually the results of the previous steps of research. Then finally, we have this again. We evaluate the impact on the population, and this should be recycled, continuing with scientific discovery and candidates application. This is the translational research cycle, covering basic research, clinical research, population research, and don't forget, it should be bi-directional. So going forth, but also reviewing backward. So each state conducts research to advance its area while contributing to the translation process for the next phase. This is what we do for chronic hepatitis B. Before I end my presentation, we have still challenges. Actually, we have translational box. It is not easy to translate research results. There are some blocks because from basic science and epidemiology finding to be translated to the second, that is clinical and science development, we have many blocks. That is the lack of qualified investigators. That's why we appreciate Indonesian government and BRIN and other ministries that we have opportunities, and our meeting is one example of that collaboration. We have incompatible database, lack of surveillance, the high research costs, and lack of funding. And well, we have to acknowledge that researchers have insufficient knowledge of policy, because we go in closed laboratories on bench and we don't know what are actually the environment condition. So what are we going? Actually, what are you going to do? I don't know. What is the impact of our work to the community? Yeah, this is lack of horizon. So, and then what is the next blocks from clinical science and knowledge development, and then to improve individual and community health? We have to acknowledge, we have to remember that there are fragmented infrastructures in the Ministry of Health and also Ministry of Education. There are kingdoms actually, but they are divided into directorate generals with different management, different directors, different policy, and different supervision. So there is I think lack of coordination among those giants and kingdoms within each ministries. Also uneven supports, sometimes overlap, but sometimes are lacking. And lack of career incentive and pathway. Well, this is the complaints of many scientists. So what are you going after this? I don't know. What is your pathway after this? Well, I don't know. And I'm happy that BRIN has developed a pathway to, I think, to appreciate the work and career of the researchers. So also, please don't forget the career incentives, not in the form of money, but also other rewards and awards, I think. And there are limited practice limitations we have acknowledged because we are embedded. So collaborations between institutions and between countries like Indonesia and Italy should be developed and maintained. And we have to remember that research advancement are unknown to policymakers. Well, policymakers, governments are always changing, and actually they are not exposed to what have been advanced and what have been achieved in the field of science. So it is our responsibility to socialize, to inform to the government, to the policymakers. This is the current progress. We are facing problems, but don't worry, we have tools and we have development results. So those are the translational blocks in research spectrum. And finally, what are the steps to be taken? Actually, there should be from individual, organizational, and environment. There are several steps to be taken for translational research. I tried to conclude this from several journals of science management, that we need to build a critical mass of local research, local research capacity, because each area, each countries, and each region has its own characteristics. It should be acknowledged and treated according to the local context. Of course, we must not forget the general principles and develop vibrant research environment within individual, institutional, and system, and provide resources for administrative, financial, management functions to enhance research quality. It is very important, and develop career pathways and build leadership at individual, institutional, and system levels. So this is very important because the leader must know what their members are doing and working. There must be a close relationship between the leaders and the head of institutions and all researchers, and understand the extent of the problem and provide decision makers with accurate information for strategy development. This is translate to the public and the community. And understand the risk factors and disease needs in the communities. We have to understand that the problems in Europe is different from Asia, and also in Indonesia, we have specific problems, specific seasons. So I think this is what we can give for our community health. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prof. David Handoyo Mulyono, for your comprehensive presentation on chronic hepatitis B as a model for translational research in Indonesia. Your insights have been truly eye-opening and providing us with a valuable update on the current state of hepatitis B. To all participants, I will remind you again that your questions will be welcome during the discussion session following the final speaker. And for our virtual attendees, please type your question in the chat or the comment section, and we will address them during the discussion. And for next, we will explore the topic of liver cancer, focusing on its molecular challenges and the differences between the West and East. This presentation will be delivered by Dr. Cecilia Sukawati. Dr. Sukawati is a senior researcher at the Ekman Research Center for Molecular Biology, BRIN, where she has been contributing her expertise since 2022. And she also holds a senior researcher position at the Fondazione Italiana Fegato, or Italian Foundation, working mainly on liver cancer research. And earlier in her career, she served as a research assistant at the Viral Hepatitis and Emerging Disease Unit of the Ekman Institute for Molecular Biology. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Sukawati. And Dr. Sukawati, the stage is yours.
So thank you very much, Dr. Jayanti, for the nice introductions. And I would like to thank for all the participants here and also for the invitations, and then for your attentions, and then your good and important insight for the study of the liver disease. So we're going to be a little bit moving from the translational research more to the molecular. I'm so sorry about these subjects, but because I deal with the molecules, so I would like to give you very briefly about what we are doing in the terms of the molecular of liver cancers. In particular, how we define the liver cancers in the Eastern versus Western populations. So in the sense between Indonesia and Italy. So, this is the problems what we have now. So primary liver cancer is still global health problems. So epidemiologically speaking, this is still the third most common cancer-related death in the world. In the term of incidence, it is the sixth of the most common cancers. The problem is that only little proportions of the liver cancer patients, they are eligible for the curative treatments. And even though patients that are treated, they have also the high probability to relapse and then to be worse again, and then back to the condition where they began or even worsening the conditions. So primary liver cancers actually compose of several distinct types of cancers, but here I would like to focus into the hepatocarcinoma, which is the most common cancers in the liver. It ranks, it's comprised about 90% of all cases. So this is still an unmet clinical need. So this is recent data I took from the WHO website, from International Agency Research for Cancers, the GloboCan data. So globally speaking, the liver cancers ranks as the 6th of the most common cancers in the world. But this is the 3rd of the most common cancer-related death. So the ratio between incidence and mortality, they are quite, the proportion is quite high. So it is important to notice that liver cancer was among the top 3 causes of cancer death in 46 countries. And then the predictions that the cases of the liver cancer, the cases, it's going to increase. And then most of the cases right now is mostly caused by hepatitis B virus infections. So this is the 2 comparisons between Italy and Indonesia. So as you can see here, I only show you the mortality rate of the liver cancer cases into different countries, distinctly separated. So as you can see here in Italy, if we talk about the mortality, this is 11. So, okay, but 6 in male populations. But if we move to Indonesia, if we talk about female and male, this is 4th cancer-related death. But in male, it is the 2nd. So the number of liver cancer is very, very high in Indonesia in particular. So the issue is not only right now, but also what's going to happen in the future. So this is also data from the GloboCan 2022. So the predictions in, let's say, 25 years from now. So we talk about 2020 until 2050. So as you can see here in the graph, both incidence and male and female in Asia is, if we don't do anything about that, is going to raise up. So if we talk here in the graph, so we can imagine the number is 60% higher in 25 years. In Italy, it's a little bit better than Indonesia because of the non-viral treatment, especially for hepatitis C virus. So let's say that the hepatitis C virus incidence in Italy is not so high, but there is a tendency of the increase of the fatty liver. So what we call the metabolic dysfunction associated steatotic liver disease. So the number of the cases related to the disease is increasing. This might influence also the trend of the liver cancers in the world. So this is the main issue that I would like to put today. So the etiological factors of the HCC, it's different geographically. So if you can see here, HBV is more into the Africa and Asia, also Southeast Asia. HCV more to the Western countries. Alcohol-related more spread in Africa, Asia, especially Russia, and South America, and fatty liver is more or less widely spread in the world. So this is the issues that had been previously mentioned by my mentor, Professor David Mulyono, that if we talk, I'm so sorry, but I'm not going to speak very detail about this, but what happened? If we talk about viral infection for liver cancer, basically they can both go to what we call indirect hepatocarcinogenesis. So from the infection, it can go to hepatitis, it can go to fibrosis, cirrhosis, until the development of liver cancer. But the viral proteins, they can also go to what we call direct in the hepatocarcinogenesis, in which the proteins of the virus can directly go to the alterations in the hallmark of cancers. But as also mentioned by Professor Mulyono, that hepatitis B in particular, the most common virus in Indonesia, it has distinct particularities, which is because it is a viral DNA. This is a DNA virus. So the DNA of the hepatitis B virus can enter into human genome and then create cancer without involving the process of autocarcinogenesis. So this is also data from liver cancer in Asia taken by two distinct sources. The first one is from a paper. This is an analysis of around 300 patients from the RSCM and Darmais Hospital. And then as you can see here, the etiology of the liver cancer is mostly by HBV. Little 17% HCV and still 3.5% co-infection between HIV and HCV. So this data is also confirmed by the data from the Ministry of Health, in which it states clearly that the causes of the chronic liver disease in Asia is mostly caused by hepatitis B virus. So, but I'm so sorry for this complicated slides, but what I wanted to say here that if we talk about liver cancer is a very heterogeneous disease in the sense that it's very different one to another. Sorry. Okay. I think, can you go back? Sorry. Okay. Okay. I click okay. I click. Okay. So in the sense that the liver cancers can be very heterogeneous among nations, among continents, but the liver cancers can be also very different between patients. So one patient to another, they are different. Even in the same patients, the liver cancer nodules, they might be different. Even in the same nodule, the cancer cells, they might be different one to another. So all of this complexity really influence the treatment and then the success of the treatment of the patients. So this is only one example of a project that we did with the University of Udine in Italy that we mentioned here. We took several samples of liver cancers and then we stained the nodules with the molecular markers. And then what you can see here, that the intensity of these markers, they are very different, not only among patients, but also within the same patients. Okay, and apparently the differences in the molecular markers can be also be the basis of the cancer classifications. So I apologize again for the complexity of these slides. This is very molecular, but what I wanted to say here, that the etiology, which is HBV, it influences the particular features of the liver cancers. For example, here, HBV infection is related with the cancer cells, which is high proliferative, with the chromosomal instability and a bad prognosis. Because HBV is the most common viral hepatitis happen in Asia, we have to be quite aware of this situation. So this is also the slide had been presented previously by Dr. Mulyono. Actually, I got this slide, these pictures from Dr. Mulyono. So can we think that the etiology of the virus gives effect in the distinct profile between Western and Eastern Asia? So as he mentioned previously, that for hepatitis B virus infections, 3 countries, which is China, India, Indonesia, represents of the global burden in 2022. So we are part actually of the problems. So this is an example of the study we conducted together with Vietnam, and then Hospital of Catinara in Trieste in Italy. So this is representations of the liver cancer from Eastern and Western part of the world. So what we did here is we collected samples, so liver cancer tissues from 2 different countries, Vietnam and Indonesia. And then we basically gather all the samples, and then we did the molecular characterization of all the samples. So in this project, we analyzed 300 cases of liver cancer of ACC, both from Italy and from Vietnam. So I really hope that we could do something similar between Italy and Indonesia in the near future. So what we found, okay, B pay influence the infection of hepatitis B increase a particle marker. In this sense is CD90, and the infection of hepatitis B related with the increase of CD90 is also related with the bad prognosis of the patients. So we have again to pay attention here that HBV infections related to bad prognosis of the patients. So we did also several studies. So we did in vitro, and then we used these molecular markers to differentiate the profile of the cancer cells. And then we saw that CD90, sorry. Can you go back? Okay, sorry, it's done. So the CD90, which is related to HBV infections, is related with the higher growth capacity and autophagy. So we can mention, or we can highlight that the HBV infection in the Eastern Asia is something we have to be concerned about, because it related also with the high capacity of the cells to proliferate, at least in the laboratory setting. So to summarize, what is the relevance of this? So for the relevance, this is a publications we did. This is like a concise review we performed together with Rumah Sakit Cipto Mangunkusumo Hospital in Jakarta. So I only put two phases here, which is important, that regardless the etiology, so we have to cure the cancer. So the thing is not etiology, which is the difference between Eastern and Western Asia, between Eastern and Western part of the world, but how we look for the treatments. And then again, the crucial thing is not to cure, but to prevent. So with the management, with the prevention of the disease, especially hepatitis B, the problems can be at least lessened. So it's a bit slow. Next, thank you. Next, okay. Okay, this is already mentioned that in the world that there's a changing paradigm from the viral hepatitis to fatty liver. So we have to be aware also on that. And this is what we are doing in our group at the BRIN. So now we're trying to, actually not trying, but we are really establishing the connection between Western part of Indonesia and Eastern part of Indonesia in different projects regarding hepatitis B and liver cancers. So I'm happy here there is Prof. Nasrum from Universitas Hasanuddin, because we start also the project about liver cancer and the cccDNA. So we're trying also to collect already the liver cancer tissues from the Eastern part of Indonesia. Together with Darmais, we try to collect also liver cancer from Jakarta and surrounding area. And of course, we are open for national and international collaborations from the BRIN research centers. If there are groups who wants to work in this field in hepatitis B and liver cancers, of course, also with Foundation Vega atau interest. And now we are also working with the ASEAN to develop what we call the ASEAN Liver Research Initiative to gather the ASEAN researchers. We have now composed by 6 countries to deal with liver disease in the region. So, slide, okay. So I would like to thank you for your attention. Terima kasih atas perhatiannya, and grazie mille per la vostra attenzione. Terima kasih.
Thank you for Dr. Sukawati on your talk, which highlights the complexities of liver cancer itself, and also the differences of liver cancer presentation in the Western and Eastern population cohorts, which is related to the underlying etiologies. We will move on to the next speaker. Our next speaker is our long-term collaborator, Dr. Ernawati Arifin from Institut Teknologi Bandung. Dr. Arifin obtained her PhD in pathology and microbiology from University of Bristol, United Kingdom. She joined the institute as a faculty member since 2006, and now is a senior lecturer at the School of Life Sciences and Technology. Her talk for today will be on the recent developments in biotechnological strategies for prophylactic and therapeutic hepatitis B vaccines. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Arifin.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for coming today, and thanks very much for the committee for the invitation. So in this morning, we would like to share actually a bit about the recent developments in biotechnological strategies for prophylactic and therapeutic hepatitis B vaccines. So as we listened from Professor David and also from Ibu Cecil that now we tried to share about our research related to translational research. Okay, since the audience probably very diverse, so we try to begin with what is a vaccine itself. So the vaccine, as we know so far, is a product to stimulate the immune system. And after somebody got the vaccines, so there is antigen-presenting cells from our cells who receive and then present it into the surface of the cells. And then it will be interact with the receptor in the immune cells to respond as a very specific immune response and also the memory for the immune response itself. And if somebody got another infection, so the pathogen related to these vaccines, so will be eliminated. So it has to be related to the vaccine that is introduced. So as we know so far, actually, there's a few different platforms of the vaccines. So it can sourced by the virus or the pathogen itself. So it can be from the inactivated or live attenuated. So it can be a platform from brood protein itself and also material genetics. And as we know so far, the vaccines could induce the response immune and resulted the antibody productions as a humoral immunity, or kill the cells which is infected, so it will be clearance as a cellular immunity. So as we know so far that to eliminate the hepatitis B, so to reach the goal in 2030, to eliminate this hepatitis B, the vaccination is the effective strategy. So this is the model that told us that the vaccination could decrease and there's a prediction, so it can eliminate it by 2030 with this vaccination. And this is also, we can see from here, so that there's a decreasing of hepatitis B chronic and in the Southeast or in the Western itself. And but in developing hepatitis B vaccines, there's a challenge. One of the challenge is that hepatitis B virus cannot efficiently replicate in the cell culture. So based on this challenge, so there are two actually big scientists in here. So there is Bloomberg and also Irving. They develop and they discover that hepatitis B virus related to hepatitis B surface antigens. And based on their discovery, so there is 3 generation vaccines actually. And the first one is based on plasma-derived vaccines. So there is a virus-like particle isolated from the blood plasma from the patients, from the carrier. And because this is the first generation vaccine still has a challenge itself, so there's a second generation vaccines based on biotechnology techniques. So it will be produced virus-like particle produced in yeast. And the third generation vaccines, so this is the vaccines which is also modified from the second generations. It can be modified for the antigen itself, and it can be modified through the adjuvants. So these three generated vaccines, some is already commercially available. So we can see in here, there is some which is also expressed in the yeast and also expressed in mammalian cells. And if we see now that the hepatitis B vaccine is not just function as a preventive, but also develop as a curative vaccines. And here there's some development in here, so we can see there is a virus-like particle which is modified with silica adjuvanted. So we can see the crumble here, like yeah, and then this modification could increase the immune response. And also there's another modification. This has just been published in 2024, so it's very recent. This is a therapeutic hepatitis B mRNA vaccines. And we can see in here, based on these vaccines, the DNA vaccines could decrease as an impact. And also there's another development, also it's quite recent, it's based on adenovirus-based hepatitis B vaccines. And in here also, we can see there's a reducing in DNA vaccines when it's treated by adenovirus hepatitis B vaccines. And this is also the modified of adenovirus hepatitis B vaccines. We can see in here, there's a response due to delivery of these vaccines. And this is also the development based on a peptide. So there's a combination of peptide in here, which is also developed too as a therapeutic vaccines. And also with the hepatitis B, we can learn besides based on the diversity of the HBV itself. So some group also try to study about the human immuno. Yeah, and we can see in here that hepatitis B is also one of the model. And how about development in Indonesia? So actually we are happy in here. So it's like a reunion for us. And then we can see in here, actually, so we start in 2012 and 2017. So there's a development of Indonesian hepatitis B vaccines. This is a consortium vaccines led by Bio Farma. And here is comprises of Ekman Institute, BPPT, and ITB are also Bio Farma, and it's led by Dr. Neni Nuraini from Bio Farma. So we try to construct here and then to produce and test in the animal models. And we can see in here, this is based on Indonesian biodiversity. So there's Ibu Meta here, that's your result. And then we can see in here that we combine with another also scientist from Ekman Institute. So based on this diversity, so we try to develop these vaccines. And we can see in here after we got the diversity, so we try to construct and then we try to get a Pichia pastoris, which is also re-engineering. And then we try to produce the protein, the virus-like particles. And here, so we got the virus-like, we also determine and got the virus-like particles here. So this is the virus particle that we got as candidate vaccines from Indonesian biodiversity. So this is the result, and then we test it in the animal model. So this is a collaboration between Bio Farma and also University of Melbourne in Australia, and then the hepatitis B surface antigen and also hepatitis core antigens induce humoral and cellular immune response when formulated with a TLR2 agonist-based adjuvant. Another development that we try to do is in the collaboration with Virginia Tech University. So we try to develop a dual vaccine of the hepatitis B and norovirus. So in here, so we actually we tried to integrate the antigen of hepatitis B surface antigen, and hepatitis B core antigens to the P particle in the norovirus. So hopefully that with this development, so we can overcome the hepatitis B and also the norovirus. So from here, we can see, so this is the design. So actually we would like to generate the chimeric P particle intranasal vaccine design and to protect from hepatitis B and also the norovirus. And in here is the result. So we can see in here, so we tried to use two genotypes of norovirus. This is the genotype, the left one is the genotype which is very pathogenic, and the second one, in the right one, is the genotype from Indonesian genotype. And in here we can see that we can get a particle integrated with hepatitis B and hepatitis core antigen. And this is the result. So we can see in here that delivery intranasally can induce the mucosal immune response. And then we can see in here there is a AGA and IgG immune response derived from this delivery of the vaccines. This is generated by two animal models, by pig models and also by mouse model. And another one is development of mRNA vaccine candidates is still in the design, but the idea is we would like to make multi-epitope vaccines based on hepatitis B core and hepatitis B X. Why? Because this hepatitis B core and hepatitis B X antigens have a can have a role with the epigenetics one. So hopefully, so if we can generate these vaccines, so it can generate the vaccines for the therapy. And we can see in here, due to the function of HBX related to expression that can relate to the exhausted of T cell representation. So we try to generate based on these antigens. And we can see in here, actually, there's a lot of people try to make a therapeutic vaccines based on different antigens. But in here, we try to generate using the reverse vaccinology approach. And this is the recent results. So we can see in here, based on the reverse vaccinology. So we resulted a few different epitopes. So this is the epitopes that's potentially combined to overcome the therapeutic, to overcome the hepatitis B chronic. And so this is the this is the combination of different multiple epitope, and this is also try to modeling and interact with different receptor in B cells and also in T cells, and also with different toll-like receptors. And we can see it's in here that's quite stable with the interaction. So hopefully this design could be worked as mRNA candidate vaccines. So from the collaboration that we've got so far, so we've got three different results. So we got the prototype of hepatitis B vaccine candidate based on Indonesian genotype. We also got a potential of dual vaccine candidate for hepatitis B and norovirus, and design of multi-epitope hepatitis B for therapeutic mRNA vaccines. And what is the potential collaboration? So probably we could test the potential of therapeutic vaccine candidate in vitro and in vivo, and exploring potential of Indonesian biodiversity in HBV and host-related immunology molecules for therapeutic vaccine development. So I would like to acknowledge all of the people who work related to this work, and also Ibu Cecil and friends, yeah, also in here. So we tried also generate another collaboration, and also we thank to fund it, and also to School of Life Science and Technology ITB, and Bioscience and Biotechnology Research Center ITB, and also BRIN and FIF. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ernawati Arifin, for your insightful presentation on the recent developments in biotechnological strategies for hepatitis B vaccines, both for prophylactic and therapeutic. After hearing about liver-related research from our Indonesian speakers, now we will shift to our Italian speakers. We have Prof. Nando Campanella and Dr. Silvia Gatzin. And for the next speaker will be Prof. Nando Campanella, a board member of the Martinis Telemedicine Panel. Prof. Campanella is a distinguished expert in the field of international healthcare cooperation and digital health. He has dedicated his career to international cooperations, working with the International Committee of the Red Cross in Afghanistan, and also in the Italian Cooperation in Angola and the Health Higher Institute in Uganda, focusing on crucial issues such as environmental health and HIV/AIDS. And since 2005, Prof. Campanella has collaborated with various United Nations agencies, including UNDP, WHO, and UNICEF. And also currently, Prof. Campanella serves as the secretary of the Martinis Telemedicine Panel, a nonprofit association dedicated to the development of digital health teaching and remote healthcare. Please join me in welcoming Prof. Nando Campanella. Prof. Campanella, time is yours.
Mrs. Jayanti, Mrs. Corey, Professor Dharmayanti, and the managers of BRIN, Professor Carniella, and representatives of the Italian Embassy. Thank you very much for your kind invitation. That made me the opportunity to explain to you what this Orang Italia is doing, hanging here around for, over Indonesia. The title of this presentation is Teleconsultation in the Follow-up on Liver Diseases. Actually, I have a little bit changed this title. The very first was Telemedicine, but you will understand why I have changed it into Teleconsultation in a very few minutes. Yeah. Very much, see? So now, okay. The De Martinez Telemedicine Panel is a non-profit organization made up of health professionals and engineers, all of them involved in their professional careers in digital health, e-health. So we are professional and nothing more than professional. Purpose number one of the statute of the De Martinez Telemedicine Panel is theoretical and practical development of information and communication technologies in health, both in teaching and in the application project, digital health. So in a certain sense, what we do is what you see, you will see in the next one. For the time being, who are our partners? Who are the Martepa's partners? Oh, they are many. First of all, the general practitioner, but pay attention, not in the Indonesian sense. The general practitioner I learned is the undergraduate who has finished the first 3 years at the University of Medicine and then is starting his clinical practice in the following years. They are called general practitioner. No. For me, the general practitioner is the doctor umum. What you call doctor umum is already doctor with his is a real doctor already professionally practicing. So our partners are the doctor umum of Italy, most of them. Now, other partners, health system institution, hospitals, Department of Public Health, doctor unions, health operators, universities, health research institute. Let's say we accept any partners that is willing to cooperate with us in health projects, both in teaching and in application, clinical application. This is a slide that tries to summarize the best what we are doing. Let's start. Okay, let's start from the left. Research, experimentation, or publication. We are not at your levels. Let me tell you frankly, what we test and what we test are small devices, electronic devices for for home-based care, for telemonitoring at the point of care. So, and cheap, please, cheap, because if they are expensive, they must be cheap, they must be portable. I must put in my backpack, I put in my backpack all these devices, and not only me, of course. So this is what we are actually testing. Not much money needed. You need a lot of money, but we know because we are general protection. And then from here, what is the next? Doesn't work. There was an animation. Ah, yeah. Look. Ah, I have pushed too much. Ah, okay. Which are these kind of devices for you to realize? These are portable ultrasound scan. $700, $800, linear or convex that you can use with a smartphone, with Android. And what is this? Oh, with this, I do a lot of biochemical tests at the point of care. I go to with this small cartridge. I can test at least eight biochemical tests, just to give you an example, of course. But there are many others, of course. And then afterwards, clinical teleconsultation. This is the core of our activity. So we provide teleconsultation from remote. I'll explain better what I mean for teleconsultation. It's not speaking of medicine whatsoever. Is to treat a person and to take the full medical responsibility from remote. So if you make a mistake and the judge summon you to say, tell me, what have you done with this patient? We must be in the position to demonstrate that we have behaved correctly according to the ethical deontological code, and we have done our best. So when we speak about clinical teleconsultation, we do not mean the thousands of platforms that you can find in internet and ask, what should I do with aspirin? Can I take 1 or 2 tablets? Oh, this is not teleconsultation. Teleconsultation means that there is a medical responsibility behind, okay? So this is our most important activity, let's say. On the right side, because there is clinical teleconsultations, there is also teaching in the university. So we decided 10 years ago, around 10 years ago, that can we practice medicine as I myself have learned medicine 40 years ago? For sure, no. So something has changed. But when you try to change the curriculum of the university, I know for personal experience that in Italy it's very difficult to try to touch the curriculum of the university. But in Indonesia it's not much easier, according to my personal experience. Anyway, there is some kind of openness to try to input some detail of digital health, a little bit here, a little bit there. We are speaking about bioethics in medicine. Okay, let's put something digital health in bioethics, etc. So this is the third. Teaching digital health in graduation courses of all the health science faculties, not only medicine. The digital world has did the digital health have no impact on biology? Oh, he had. In psychology, he had. In pharmacy, he had. In public health, he had midwifery, nursing, etc. So our strategies was, okay, let's establish a course that with some details could be good for all the faculty of health sciences, right? Okay, and according to this law, for example, law, there is no bioethics, no clinical deontology that could be cooperate. The faculty of law can cooperate with medicine. Of course, yes, because if the medicine has a medical responsibility, of course, law is important. And then if we teach, we need teaching tools. And which are the teaching tools that we have developed? Will you drive? Are you able to drive a little bit better than I do? Yes, you are. Thank you very much. This is a book written here in Bahasa Indonesia, written between the Martinez Telemedicine Panel and Hairun University in Ternate, Northern Maluku. Isu Hukum Kesehatan Elektronik. In practice, it's a cooperation between the Faculty of Law and the Faculty of Medicine in detailing bioethics and clinical deontology in connection with law. Okay? Let's go if it works. Okay. But of course, we were in need of a book, a real pedagogic book, the one that we can say, students, you want to know more? Okay, buy this, because with this book, you will find all that we want to teach to you. On the left, you will see this is in Portuguese language. Why in Portuguese language? Because it was, let's say, tested and produced in Manaus, Amazonas, in Brazil. The University of the State of Amazonas has a telemedicine center and, okay, teleconsultation from one side and teaching from the other. And we have produced this book that is our pedagogic test. But thanks to the embassy of Portugal in Jakarta, this book was translated into Bahasa Indonesia because we were already in the position to have contracts, memorandum of understanding with several universities in Indonesia. So we need a tool to teach to the Indonesian students. Okay, other kinds of materials, multimedia. We have been speaking multimedia for 20 years. Speaking multimedia is not that easy. So we have made use of the production of many videos in this YouTube channel. So you can check if you wish, you can check, or in our website. But let me suggest, this is in Bahasa Indonesia. So it was made with Makassar Muhammadiyah University together. We did that together. And then there are in English, in Portuguese, in many, many languages, we have produced this multimedia. But let me be provocative a little bit. Excuse me, I needed to be provocative. Professor Carniel knows what I'm doing. This one, I suggest you, Unified and Universal Health System and Satu Sehat untuk semua. That for sure, you know far better than me what it is. You know that the Satu Sehat untuk semua is the Indonesian version, if we can call it, of the electronic health electronic record. in practice. But the provocation is this. This video is the strange affair of short stature in Indonesia. A review. If you want to enjoy your time, try to see it. Thank you. Let's go ahead. Okay, these are the places in which we work. In Brazil, Portugal, Indonesia, Sorong, Jakarta, Jayapura, Ternate, etc. In these universities. Okay, now let's try to focus a moment on liver, because what has this? What has with liver? What has to do with liver? As soon as in Makassar, Muhammadiyah, they knew that I was coming to Jakarta, they said to me, and for us, nothing. You don't tell nothing about liver diseases. Yes, I can, if you wish, but pay attention. I'm not a researcher. And I tell you very frankly, don't try to test my capacities in research on liver, because you will be very disappointed with me. But in the meantime, I have to treat the focal liver lesion. So when I went there, I gave this lecture. I gave this lecture in which okay, you are the sixth semester of undergraduate of medicine. I can tell you how the focal lesions of the liver, such as this, can be treated with a high energy. In other terms, I make you a view of interventional radiology and this kind of disease, and in trauma of the liver. That in a certain sense, they use the same technology in the heart risk, embolization, arterial embolization. The summary, the slide in Bahasa Indonesia that has summarized. Oh, sorry. So now I hear myself. So this is the slide in Bahasa Indonesia, obviously, because the teaching was in Muhammadiyah University, of all the technicalities that you have available when you treat the liver focal diseases. Okay. Will you skip for me? Very well. Teleconsultation, how it works, teleconsultation. This is, the slides are in Bahasa Indonesia, also this. This is the synchronous teleconsultation. We will have two kinds of teleconsultation. Synchronous, like teleconference, okay? And asynchronous, that is much more important, that is through a platform. This is an example, as we did with COVID-19 for around 2 years. But pay attention, how teleconsultation is not to the patient, forbidden, because the teleconsultation to the patients in the United States is there since the beginning of the century. They have insurances, and so it is the insurance that provide you the platform, the doctor, the teleconsultation. But the Italian system is a little bit different. It's much more similar to Indonesia in a health system. So our support is not to the patient, is to the doctor whom this is our focus. This we want to improve in his capacities, so that when he is in lack of expertise, there is the Martinez telemedicine panel providing. This is the idea. So what does the Dr. Moon in COVID? In COVID, Dr. Moon was make a call. You skip? Okay, was make a telephone call to our coordination center, and they say, well, I have a patient, like a family like this, and that is isolated there. So, okay, very well, next. So what we do, we got in touch on behalf of the Dr. Moom with the patient. Then we established a way, a platform to have a communication whatsoever. Skype, WhatsApp, whatsoever. The importance is that the patient could use it. I cannot say, let's use Zoom. What is Zoom? The patient says. So what you are available to use, we have to make this proposal to the patient, and then we get in touch. Next, please. Then we try to do our best collecting anamnesy with the physical examination, etc., in order that the teleconsultation is at the same level of a visit in presence. Next slide. And then we report to the Dr. Moom. The prescription is from the Dr. Moom directly, even including, next slide, please. We have given a lot of oxygen at home under our direct control. This is a synchronous teleconsultation, right? Next slide, please. Okay, don't watch at the slide. This is purposely complicated in order that you are frightened and say, oh my goodness, something difficult. Yes, it's something difficult. The asynchronous teleconsultation has a lot of steps. And this is the general practitioner, and this is the patient. Then there is a cascade that makes a tour, and in 36 hours, not more than 36 hours, otherwise it is of no use, the opinion of the consultant should get back to the general practitioner, so the general practitioner can provide therapy, treatment, etc., with one warning. The responsibility stays with her. The platform do not transfer any responsibility. Responsibility stay with the general practitioner. And the idea is to empower the general practitioner to challenge diseases and situation he is usually not in the position to do. But if you imagine that this has been experienced in Amazonas with 5 million square kilometers, you imagine a thing like that, you understand that finding expertise in 5 square kilometers of rainforest is not that easy. Next, please. And so now that I have frightened at you, don't watch at it because it is of no use. This is the platform that is used for this activity of asynchronous teleconsultation. Next slide. Next slide. Okay, these are some screenshots that for you to understand that it's a little bit complicated. Why is it complicated? Because the control of the person should be very, very detailed. No fake patient, no fake doctors, nothing can be fake here. So the credential, the double control is very, very thorough, just to avoid for this issue of the, if the judge summon you, you must be in the position to demonstrate that you have worked according to the deontological code. So next slide. Next slide, please. These slides that I have shown you is what I use to demonstrate to the students in Indonesia, because of course the slides were in Indonesia, how it works asynchronous teleconsultation. And now let's some minutes speak about liver, although I have already said to you I'm not an expert in liver. Can we apply clinical teleconsultation, asynchronous and synchronous, because the two are both necessary. Any teleconsultation starts there as an asynchronous teleconsultation, but may have some stage of synchronous teleconsultation. Can it be done with liver disease? Absolutely yes. What kind of problem? No problem. No problem means, you imagine that when I was in Amazonas, we apply the teleconsultation to the cardiology. So it is a telecardiology. Okay. We apply teleconsultation to the lungs, pneumology. So it is a telepneumology. Then telecardiology, telepneumology, teleorthopedics, teledialysis, and that. Stop. Teleconsultation. The teleconsultation is the best for emptying the bed of the hospitals from useless admittance. One. To follow up the patient at home. Three, which kind of patient? Acute, emergency? No. This is not for emergency care. This is very good for chronic disease, when you have to establish a permanent contact between doctor, room, specialist, and patient. Okay? So what is this? Of course, when you have a liver disease affected person, you have to set up a database or something like that. So you can use various kind of databases next. Collecting data, collecting test examination, etc. But if it is a cardiology, it's the same. You change something here, but it's the same. If you do pneumology, you change something here, but it's the same. So liver is feasible. If you want, as we needed, were in need to do, we had to clear the bed in the hospital that were full of these cirrhotic patients that were laying, stretching in the bedside, and we should stop some activities because the esophagogastroduodenoscopy could not possible to be done because the bed was busy, etc., etc. So all this attempt is to clear the bed of the liver diseases and bring them home successfully. And it can be done. Next. Okay, next. But as you know, when you have a liver disease ongoing, sometimes some of them, they have to be transplanted. No way. The liver failure many times brings to liver transplantation. So if we are collecting data of liver patients, we should be careful that our database are operable, interoperable with the database of the National Center of Transplants, obviously, because so the exchange of data is much quicker. Next slide, please. I have almost finished, so I am stopping to bore you in a few minutes. How is the organization in Italy? Maybe Cecilia and Gazin knows far better than I how it works. The organization is that there is a National Transplant Center, which is based in Rome at the Istituto Superiore di Sanità, and is the National Coordination Center for Organ Procurement. It is committed with control of organ withdrawal, establishes criteria and procedures for the assignments of organs in order to ensure transparency of the assignments, and monitors compliance with them. Next slide, please. There are 3 levels of organization. local, regional, and interregional. Next slide, please. Okay, this is Italy, and I live here, more or less in this region, right? And as you see, the reference center is the North Italia Transplant Program. That is exactly Cecilia's and Gazin's. So they live in Trieste, that is here. All of us, we refer to this center. Next slide, please. So, which data we need to when we propose a patient to be recipient for a transplantation? Blood group, body size compatibility, donor and recipient, because of course we cannot put a liver like this in a man like that, so it doesn't work. And clinical urgency. Next slide, please. You know it far better than I. These are the criteria scoring the liver failure as a scoring for evaluate the urgency and need of a liver transplantation. I think that you in Indonesia use exactly the same that we do in Italy. You use, I think the age for us is 65 years old, less than, younger than 65. The class of child Turcotte pug, that is a score based on 5 parameters, or the MELD, model for end-stage liver disease, that is also based on 5 parameters. Next slide. I am running because I'm not an expert of this, so I have to escape to very uncomfortable questions. I think it's finished.
Thank you, Prof. Campanella, for your very lively talk, which has introduced us to the concept of clinical teleconsultation and its practical application for liver disease. So our next speaker is Dr. Senior Scientist and Team Leader at the Liver Brain Unit Rita Moretti in Italian Liver Foundation in Trieste. She obtained her PhD in molecular medicine in Trieste in 2008, and her work is on carnivorous spectrum disorder, focusing on the identifications of biomolecular determinants of the disorder to improve diagnosis and therapeutic approaches. But her talk today will be on bilirubin as a liver product. Please welcome me in welcoming Dr. Sylvia.
Thank you very much, Cory. And thanks to BRIN and the Italian Embassy to inviting me here and allowing me to represent the liver brain unit in Italian Liver Foundation. Okay, so actually this is okay, no, okay. Sorry, okay. Actually, this is the members of the unit. That is a very international team. Actually, we have 3 researchers coming from the Philippines, Dr. John Paul Lidor, Dr. Marie Nadine Alexandra Ragazza-Gui, and Dr. Giulia Teresa Regalato. Then we have 2 researchers from Italy, Camilla Della Verde and Giorgio Valerio, and since 2 years ago, we had the pleasure having our team also Dr. Sri Jayanti, actually postdoctoral researcher at BRIN. So as first, let me try to explain why at the Liver Research Center, we have a unit devoted to brain. The link is bilirubin. Bilirubin is a metabolite of hemoglobin, and the liver is the major organ responsible for the clearance of bilirubin from the blood. As you had the chance to read, as you had the chance to read also in the slide of Professor Campanella, bilirubin is mostly known as a marker of the healthy status of your liver, but it's more than that. Bilirubin is a hormone. Bilirubin is strictly involved in the homeostasis of your cells and your organs, can modulate inflammation, can modulate oxidative stress, can induce growth, can be an antibacterial, an antiviral. And so he has a lot of functions, both potentially protective and toxic. Its toxicity of protection fully depends on the level of bilirubin in blood. When bilirubin is very high, as in neonatal hyperbilirubinemia, it can lead to brain damage. But level of blood bilirubin marginally higher than the normal, I mean from 1 to 5 microgram deciliter, can be protective. This has been already fully proved in non-central nervous system conditions such as cardiovascular diseases, hypertension, dyslipidemia, diabetes, metabolic syndrome. While actually the potential protective role of bilirubin in brain diseases has been marginally proved at the basic level. And so major focus in our laboratory is study two conditions related to bilirubin and brain. One is the effect of bilirubin in neonates, where it can lead to Kernicterus spectrum disorder. And this is just an historical field of research in FIF. FIF is handling with this disease since almost half a century. Kernicterus spectrum disorders is considered a rare condition. Despite that, almost 2 million neonates die every year for the sequel of neonatal brain toxicity. The major reasons of this disease are the absence of late diagnosis and the late or inefficient therapy. And actually, there is the risk of an increasing or Kernicterus spectrum disorder condition due to the advance of neonatal medical care because preterm are especially sensitive to bilirubin neurotoxicity. By the other side, we study also Parkinson's disease. This is the second most known neurodegenerative condition, actually affecting almost 7 million persons, but this number has supposed to double in the next decades due to the aging of the worldwide population. Late diagnosis, absence of cures are the major reasons this disease is so relevant, actually. In FIF, as perfectly introduced by Prof. David Molinio, we are trying to perform translational research. It means that we start a clinical problem, a clinical question, and using all the models, all the skill, technological approaches that we have in FIF, we try to go back to the patients with a better knowledge of the disease, a diagnosis, a treatment. Okay, but we will not build only that. We build also training, we share information, we create collaboration. And the data we'll present today to you are a summary of what we did together with Dr. Sri Jayanti in the last years. Dr. Sri Jayanti is a perfect example because she is a medical doctor that asked to perform research. And so I'm a biologist and I need medical doctors. So it was a perfect complementation of our skills. It was. So as I told you, we start from a medical question. What are the questions in connectron spectrum disorder? Connectron spectrum disorder usually present motor, auditory, and cognitive symptoms, but they have a huge variability in between babies and in the possibility to be only acute, transitory, or permanent. This claims to the regional sensitivity of the brain. So bilirubin can differentially affect the region of the brain that leads to these neurobiological functions. One more hypothesis for explaining the variability of the symptoms is the stage of the development of the brain at the time of bilirubin challenge. And this is perfectly displayed by this picture taken from a publication of Dr. Jayanti that compare the symptoms in preterm versus full-term neonates. They are completely different. So this proof that developmental sensitivity is also a potential explanation for the diversity. And let me also highlight one point here. Preterm and full-term differs also in respect to the capability to react to phototherapy. That is the standard therapy we apply to baby for decreasing bilirubin in blood and by this way in the brain. Full-term baby respond perfectly to phototherapy. Preterm babies do not respond. This is the reason why actually they are really so important to us, because the number of babies suffering the sequelae of neonatal hyperbilirubinemia will increase. There is a third hypothesis for explaining the differential presence of the symptom. Up to now, we focus on how bilirubin can modulate the proteins of the genes. But what if the opposite is true? What if the genetic variants each has can modify our resistance or sensitivity to bilirubin challenge? So those are the three hypotheses we are searching to explain in FIFA, and we'll show some results we had. This slide represents an experiment where we cut slices of the brain of the rat, representing the main region affected by bilirubin: hippocampus, memory and cognition; cerebellum, coordination; inferior collicula, the auditory pathway; the superior collicula is a positive, is a control, is not affected, is the visual pathway; and the cerebral cortex, specifically motor cerebral cortex. And we challenged the slices with very controlled amount of bilirubin. As you can see, the clear, okay, as you can see in this light yellow bar, the hippocampus is the first region suffering bilirubin toxicity. And only when we increase the amount of bilirubin, also the other regions, the inferior collicula and the cerebral cortex, start to suffer. This means that there is not only one threshold of toxicity, but each region has a specific threshold of toxicity. So maybe depending on the amount of bilirubin that the baby is experiencing, this can affect motors versus cognitive versus auditory functions. Okay. We move then to in vivo, because we have also the animal model for connectron spectrum disorder that develops a rat that develops spontaneous hyperbilirubinemia, a neurologic condition. And we checked the effect of bilirubin on the development of the brain, still looking at the hippocampus, inferior collicular, and frontal cortex and motor cortex. We checked for gene involved in the key steps of postnatal brain development, such as synaptogenesis, migration, differentiation, energy, repair. And as you can see here, the red square represents the genes that are significantly modulated bilirubin. Each region is affected, but with a different pattern. Despite that, we found some rule. The first rule is that the physiological scheme of brain development, with, as you can appreciate in the H cortex, the permanent modulation of 16 functions in the motor cortex. How we can translate that to the patients, how we can help the patients with this information. Likely the region do not only differ one from each other, but they share the general mechanism of damage, such as glutamate neurotoxicity, inflammation, and redox stress. And this is really important because we can try to control, to avoid those mechanisms through drugs. And this is what we did. So again, using the animal model, we treated the animals with glutamate chain blocker. If you compare the yellow bar that is representing the cerebellar hypoplasia in the hyperbilirubinemic animal versus the black bar that is representing the normal bilirubinemic animal. And now if you check the bar representing the glutamate channel blocker to the yellow bar, you can see that glutamate channel cannot prevent cerebellar damage. The same is true from anti-inflammatory drugs. But when we choose curcumin as an antioxidant, we were surprised to see, if you see this red bar, that the cerebellum was fully protected from bilirubin neurotoxicity. And not only the size of the cerebellum, but also we had their version, the wall mechanism of damage. We have their version and the behavioral deficits. So curcumin is fully protective in neonatal hyperbilirubinemia in this model. And this is very important to us because curcumin is generally recognized as a safe molecule. It's very well tolerated without significant side effects in adults and also in infants. And we can think to administrate curcumin to baby through a non-invasive approach simply by diluting it in the milk in the baby bottle. So up to now, we perform what we call the first preclinical trial with a liposomal formulation of curcuminoids. Actually, we are testing a second approach with a simple alcoholic extract of curcuminoid. And if we will be successful, we feel comfortable in suggesting this approach in clinic. So now, the last part on Kernicterus spectral disorder. In our animal colony, we have a huge variability of the behavioral symptoms among the hyperbilirubinemic animals. So we are trying also to identify the genetic mutation responsible for this variability. We already performed whole genome sequencing. Now we are moving to RNA sequencing. The final goal is identify the candidates responsible for the resistance or sensitivity to bilirubin and develop a diagnostic chip that for sure, after be proved to be effective in the animal models, needs validation in human sample. What about the protective capability of bilirubin? there is a large literature, and also we contributed to this literature about the potential bilirubin to be anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, so protective in the large part of disease of Alfred. And we focus in Parkinson, which major problem is the late diagnosis. Why? Because usually Parkinson is diagnosed on the motor symptoms, but the motor symptoms arise when you already lost almost 50% of the dopaminergic neurons, so very late. So what can do basic science for helping clinicians? We can develop models to exceed the pre-diagnostic stages and identify the molecular responsible for starting neuronal demise. And this is what we did in our laboratory. Identified in the green square inflammation, redox stress, and again, glutamate as the potential triggers. And together with Dr. Jayanti, we moved in assessing if bilirubin, minimal amount of bilirubin, can be protective. As you can see here, again, comparing the black bar representing the number of neurons in the Parkinson model to the blue bar that is a sick slice of the brain, bilirubin can be protective at specific concentration. This is an important result Dr. Jayanti had, but we had one more important result. She identified the determinants of neurological damage, that is TNF-alpha. In this experiment, Dr. Jayanti treated the slices with TNF-alpha, fully mimicking Parkinson's disease. And when she applied infliximab, that is an antibody binding TNF-alpha to the slices, she had the full protection. So how we can use those information and translate them to the patient? The way is still very long, but we have multiple possibilities. One is modulating the amount of bilirubin in the circulation through the liver. But by this way, we cannot control the amount of bilirubin entering the brain, reaching dopaminergic neurons. The second is acting on the enzyme responsible for bilirubin production in the brain, even more complicated because the brain-brain barrier, so we need drugs able to enter the brain and highly modulate bilirubin. The most promising way is using nanodelivery of bilirubin. And in collaboration with the University of Turin, Dr. Jayanti not only selected the most safe and effective formulation of nanobubbles, but after loading them with bilirubin, she demonstrated that bilirubin delivered through nanobubbles is safe and efficient in preventing dopaminergic neuron loss. There is a second possibility. If you remember, in the connectron spectrum disorder model, curcumin was able to normalize TNF-alpha, and TNF-alpha is the responsible of the death of neurons in Parkinson's disease. So we can apply TNF-alpha to Parkinson's disease. Yes, again, results from Dr. Sri Jayanti, where again, specific concentration of curcumin are fully protective in Parkinson's disease by normalizing TNF-alpha. Those results have been now confirmed in vitro model. So actually, we are searching for additional nutraceutics able to normalize TNF-alpha to create a sort of anti-Parkinson diet, anti-inflammatory diet through functionalized foods. So now, what we have, what we want to do. The models, the skill, the approach that we developed can be used for studying different neurological conditions. And this is very important because neurological conditions are the leading cause of disability adjusted life years and the second leading cause of death worldwide. And this number is previewed to increase due to aging of the population. What is important to us is that we not only produce research results, but we did dissemination, we increased professional training, we did professional training, we had capacity building. So the collaboration with Dr. Jayanti is not ended with the ending of the PhD, but still solid and still ongoing. So, terima kasih.
Thank you, Dr. Sylvia Gatsin, for your insightful presentation on bilirubin studies. And it has been very informative for us because it's helping us to understand that bilirubin is not only a toxic molecule, but it's also working as a potential protective molecule, especially for neurodegenerative diseases. And next, we are honored to introduce our final speaker, the last but not least, Prof. Claudio Tiribelli, MD, PhD. He will talk on BRIN and FIF, the liver connection. Prof. Tiribelli is a renowned figure in the field of hepatology, serving as the scientific director for the Fondazione Italiana Fegato, and his extensive career in medicine and research includes leading roles such as the head of medical department at the teaching hospital in Trieste, Italy, and director of the liver clinical center at the same institution. Prof. Tiribelli has a long-standing academic presence, having been a professor of gastroenterology and professor of biochemistry applied to medicine at the University of Trieste, Italy. But due to another commitment, he will be joining us virtually from India. Buongiorno, Prof. Tiribelli.
Good morning to everyone. I wish I was with you, but I am the other side of the ocean, of the Indian Ocean. I'm in Chennai, India, and ready to go for a large meeting this afternoon. But I'm very happy and pleased to share my vision of the future with you. So if I can share my slide, my screen, let me try to do. Not really. Can I do it?
We can see you and we can hear you clearly. No, you can
Yeah,
share your screen.
I cannot share my slide, my screen. Can I try now? Nope.
Yes, please can try.
No, I have already. Okay, here we go. Well, no idea how to do it.
Please try again, Prof.
Do you have my presentation?
Yes. Do you want us to?
Yes. Why don't you try it from your, and I'll ask to move forward.
Okay. Wait a moment, Prof.
Sure. Here we go. Okay, maximize. So what I'm trying to do with you today is after this rather comprehensive amount of good science presented by the speakers, I want to try to wrap up things and see how we can improve the already flourishing cooperation between Italy and Indonesia, and in this particular respect, between BRIN and the Italian Liver Foundation, or FIF. Can I go next one, please? There's already, as mentioned by Cecil, there's already a very active interaction between in Indonesia and FIF. And here is listed the centers we are working with. And let me stress two things. Number one, the real importance of the BRIN support in developing this growing cooperation. And second, the founding role the Eichmann Institute had and is still having in fostering the interaction in the liver field. And in addition to this, I also want to mention that there is a critical role played by Hasanuddin University in Makassar, and actually SRI was a success, scientific success, was indicated very clearly from the Sylvia's presentation. Actually, originally came from Hasanuddin University. So altogether, the interaction between Indonesia and Italy, as far as the liver is concerned, is flourishing and growing almost every day. And not to mention that the ASEAN Liver Initiative, which is now almost set and is going to be officially launched next October in Manila, will be an additional brick in the wall. Next one, please. The history goes back more than 15 years, as mentioned by David Mulyono. When I visited the first time Indonesia in 2004, or actually 2005, when I was invited by the, at that time, scientific attaché, Miele, to visit Eichmann. And then from there on, was a lot of interaction between the two institutions with the signing of different agreement, which, as mentioned by our scientific attaché now, should be not only a sort of frame, but we need to put a picture inside. And this is what we did in this 15 years. Can you go back, move one? Okay, one more, please. So in 2013, we signed a UNAS FIF interaction, which actually brought to us several students, very successful students. One of them is Sri, returning to Indonesia. The other one is Yogi, actually at the New York University. And in 2022, BRIN actually came into the scene as a big player. And in 2022, we signed agreement when Dr. Handoko, where the delegation visit our center in Trieste. So we not only provided the frame, but also provide the picture inside, and this picture is growing. Next one, please. And next one. Okay, let me recap what we did. So in October 2021, we had a first meeting between BRIN and FIF. And to make a long story short, as I mentioned in the first slide, on September 2022, the official agreement, the MOU between BRIN and FIF was signed in Trieste. And actually, this had the possibility for BRIN to set up in July 23 the hepatitis and liver disease lab at BRIN the BRIN location in Jakarta. And actually, we also had, due to the support of the Ministry of Health, the two short fellowship of BRIN research in Trieste. One is Ecobar, and the other one is Agostincic, for 6 months. Both of them were very active and very successful, and actually came up with sort of a joint publication I'm going to show you later on. In order to make the flux of scientists bidirectional, in 2023 and 2024, we had one of our senior researchers at the FIF, Dr. Pascut, who spent 2 months in Indonesia at the BRIN institutions. So altogether, this make it possible to set up a sort of a scholarship, long-lasting and long-going. And the three last scholars were Mr. Agustin, Corey, and Davis, as I mentioned before. And this is going to be increased also because BRIN inserted the Italian Foundation together with other two Italian centers. One is International Center for Theoretical Physics, also in Trieste, and the other one was University of Milan. as location where they can send their fellows to have a PhD program sponsored by LPDP. And we are very proud of this selection. Next one, please. So what we have at present? At present, we have a PhD program which is active and needs to be subsidized by young blood, by young fellows. We have the BRIN fifth hepatitis virus and liver disease research laboratory at Cibinong. And let me say that this is the first dedicated lab at the Cibinong complex we have. And this also makes a tangible outcome of the success of our cooperation. We are working together with Cecil, and Cecil is the liaison officer between FIF and BRIN, because she's, she's switching back and forth from Trieste to Jakarta and from Jakarta to Trieste. She's the ideal ambassador for FIF in Indonesia. We are working on to create an Indonesian liver network, which is very important and is actually also mimicking what we are doing since 2 years in the Philippines. We are working also to establish an Indonesia liver biobank, and exactly is important in order to create a sort of a repository of samples in order to make possible to study the outcome of different disease in a much easier way. We have working on the research grants and call and the selection procedure to be defined with BRIN. But I mean, again, the work of Cecil is invaluable in this respect. And we are pretty sure that in the short time, we're going to have a solid program to a grant application. And of course, we need money. And we are working also on the financial resources in a term of prospective way. But I'm pretty sure that this is going to be solved quite quickly. Next one, please. What we have delivered so far. As Professor Miliono told us, we published 19 papers on the peer-reviewed journals with an overall impact factor rather good. And we're still counting because as far as I know, although it's very difficult to keep trace of this tumultuous activity, the papers under review or under revision are still rather big. So altogether, we're saying that the cooperation is very productive and is then published in respected international journals. Next one, please. So this is the past and the present, but I think it's very important to look at the future. What we need to do in the future. We need that the BRIN will become an official member of the Italian Liver Foundation. And according to what I discussed with Dr. Andoko and his colleagues, this may be possible by January 2025. It's not 15, sorry, it is a typo, 2025. Why this is important? Because this makes possible for the BRIN not only to sponsor the activities, scientific activities at the FIF, but also to deal with the perspective and the programs we can create in Indonesia and in Italy. We need to expand educational programs. We need to expand PhD. We need to have specific grants for that. And LPDP is providing us the money to do so. We need to raise also the sandwich program, which is very successfully going on with different other countries, which means that one student, one doctor usually, wants to spend 1 year with us doing some basic research and then returning to the clinical, and this is really translational. And we don't have a sandwich program now with Indonesia, but that can be created in the future. And of course, we have to keep going with visiting professorships. We also need to define, as I mentioned before, the Indonesian Liver Network, and this must be done before the end of this year, because we need to be cooperative in order to collect as many information as possible from all over the country. And let me tell you that the geographic setup of Indonesia and the genetic background, the different genetic background we have moving from North Sumatra to Papua New Guinea can provide a unique playground to study the influence of genetic in different liver disease. We need to expand the BRIN fifth of cooperation with the Ministry of Health and LPDP, because Minister of Health should be involved because we are dealing with disease, and disease is a responsibility of the Minister of Health. But as I've been told this morning, and I heard this morning, this is still ongoing, and this is very possible in the near future. And of course, we need to organize the Indonesia operativity of the Eyes on the BRIN initiative. Let me tell you that the mother of the Asian Liver Initiative is Cecil, and Cecil got the idea, discussed this with Winnie in Jakarta, and in less than 1 year, this came out with a solid project. Can you have the next one? Which actually brings together different countries of the Asian region. So far, we have Thailand, we have Malaysia, we have Singapore, we have Vietnam, we have Indonesia, of course, and the Philippines. But we're expecting that the network is going to be expanded rather soon. And next one, please. And the meeting they had in Bohol in October last year, and in Manila in June this year, they discussed and we discussed this possibility of create a network. The network has different advantages. Number one, create a sort of cradle to collect different idea and information. But most important, create the possibility for young researchers and young doctors to move around and to be exposed to a different reality. Next one, please. The so far founding members are the Philippines in terms of DOST and PCHD, Indonesia BRIN, Vietnam, Center for Molecular Medicine, and of course, as an international partner, our foundation. But as I told you, Thailand already agreed to be part of it, and Malaysia and Singapore already agreed. So which are the methodology? We need, first of all, to create a program team, advisor group, and the scientific advisory board, which is crucial in order to guide this new network to be productive and focused. We need to have a mapping of relevant stakeholders and laboratories to do research. We need to engage with the regional meetings and focus group discussion. We need Zoom meeting, but also actual meeting, because 1 hour together around the table means more than 100 hours in front of a computer. We need to discover priorities in research and activities. And this is also to create the capacity building. And of course, we need to bring together all these initiatives to do some research, and also to have some treatment protocols, which is going to be applied all over the Asian initiative. Next one, please. So as Leonardo da Vinci told us, is not important who begins, but is very important who perseveres. And let me tell you that BRIN, FIF, Indonesia, and Italy persevere. So thank you. Next one. So terima kasih atas perhatian, something like that. So it means thank you very much for your attention. This is where the Italian Liver Foundation labs and administrative location is located, which is very close to the synchrotron, which is the ring just behind the two buildings of the FIF, and surrounded by lovely forest. And the mountains you see in the distance is Slovenia, it's close to Ljubljana. So from our lab to the border, the former border, because there's no longer border now in the Schengen community, was less than 3 kilometers. Thank you very much. I'm ready to answer your question, if any.
Thank you so much, Professor Belli, for your talk, highlighting the overview of our past, present, and future research collaboration between Italy and Indonesia.
You should have your mic closer to your mouth. It's really hard to understand.
Okay, can you hear me now?
That's much better, right? Yes, much better.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we have all heard the amazing talks from all our speakers today. So I will open the discussion session. Is there anyone who wants to ask the questions in person? I will open the floor for discussion session now. Okay, please introduce yourself before you ask the questions and who the questions is addressed to. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Elkobar, for the change. I am Jiro from Center for Biomedical Research, BRIN, and I have a question for Professor Campanella and Dr. Gazin. First is for Professor Campanella. One thing I wasn't very clear of about teleconsultation, about your presentation is that really disturbed me is after consultation with the expert, the responsibility remains at the GP. I mean, couldn't both of them share the responsibility? And the second question is, the next question is for Dr. Gazin. And I'm very interested about the antioxidant result that can prevent almost 100% the cerebral damage. And do you think the mechanism of the curcumin is only for the antioxidant? Have you compared the other antioxidant like vitamin C or vitamin D? And India, as the most country that consume curry that contain turmeric, have you see the incidence of bilirubin related disease or Parkinson disease? That's all my question. Thank you.
Prof. Campanella, you can answer the questions directly.
Yes, thank you very much for your question. I understand you're perplexed. Okay, but it depends that when you introduce a technology whatsoever, normally the law follows with some delay to the technology. The technology usually run faster and ahead than the law. So what happens? What happened? Happened that if you check what is written in the ontological code, Italian deontological code, Portuguese deontological code, no mention the Brazilian methodological code, normally the responsibility is to the doctor that is in physical contact in presence with the patient. That means that when you have done all that kind of consultation, I ask, you reply, etc., etc., finally, there is the doctor who and the patient, one face to the other. It's difficult to expect that the patient does not see all that has happened inside the platform. The patient sees the face of the doctor whom. So for him or for her, the responsibility is with him, according to the deontological code. But now things are changing. First, because of course there are some modification ongoing as the technology goes. But let's assume that there is a mistake, and then the patient sues the doctor whom to the judge. Okay, the doctor whom has to demonstrate that he has been acting according to proper conduct. Right now, of course, he can and is in the position of to demonstrate that from the platform he received from an authorized doctor, not an abusing doctor. So this is why I tell you, pay attention, the procedure is long because we have to make sure that everybody's there and there is no fake doctor. Of course, he has the certified and digital signed, tanda tangan digital, of all the reports of the specialist. So if you are the doctor and you are to defend yourself for an accusation of malpractice, of course, you will have in your hand from the platform the certification of the report of the specialist. This does not make you innocent. Pay attention, because guilty is you. First, the guilty is you first, but you may get some let's say, attenuanti, come si dice in inglese? Attenuanti. Legally speaking, attenuanti, how do you say attenuanti in English? Mitigating conditions that the judge can consider. Have you understood? So, the ontological code is the first obstacle. Second, it is changing. Third, this is why I have stressed a lot. In that platform, everything should be certified and signed digitally. Signed digitally means that has the same value of a tanda tangan manual. Okay?
Thank you, Professor Campanella. So following your answer, from your experience doing this research regarding teleconsultation, do you think this issue makes the GP feel reluctant to do this teleconsultation? Thank you.
May it be the doctor won't be
reluctant to have a teleconsultation, feel doubt? Yeah.
Yes, for sure. Yes, in the sense that in teleconsultation, all the activities should be like the conducting presence. This is the principle. You cannot say, you are not allowed to say, yes, but if I were there, I could. No. Either you do at the same level of efficiency and of effectiveness, or all that I have said, you may delete because it doesn't run. But it must run, of course.
Okay. Concerning the antioxidant activity of curcumin, this is absolutely well known in literature. This is the reason why we choose curcumin, supposedly antioxidant in Parkinson's disease. And skipping to your last question, India is the nation in the world with the low incidence of Parkinson's disease. But the authors of those papers cannot be sure it is due to curcumin. Maybe it's genetic, maybe it's environmental condition. Nevertheless, India is the country with the lower incidence of Parkinson's disease. In our model, we try N-acetylcysteine as an antioxidant, not vitamins, but N-acetylcysteines, and it doesn't work. But because in Parkinson's disease, the determinant for the death of the neurons is inflammation, is TNF-alpha. Despite that, curcumin is antioxidant also in Parkinson's disease, but this is not the major mechanism leading to neuronal death in Parkinson's disease.
Are there anyone else who wants to ask a question? Yes, Prof. Nasrul.
Thank you, Cory. Thank you very much for inviting me, especially Cecilia. I'm very enthusiastic to join this meeting because of the topic, and actually I really want to meet the Professor Claudia directly face to face, but unfortunately he's in India. My question is to Professor Claudia. Can you hear me, Prof?
Yes.
Nasrum from Mas.
Clearly. Go ahead.
Yeah. I just want to ask about the PhD candidate. Is there any chance for us to send our student to PhD, the same like Dr. Sri and Dr. Dina visit to your university? And the second one is we now built a biobank in our university. Is there's any chance to link between Indonesian liver biobank that you want to build in BRIN? Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much for this question. I mean, first question, if there's any possibility having one of your students spending the 3 or 4 years in our labs to get a PhD, like they did the 3 previous candidates, 3 and the other 2. Yes, the answer is yes. You know that we don't have any specific local money for this. They have to go through the LPDP or other granting agencies. But if they have the budget, we'll be happy to consider them for a PhD position. Mind that we need to announce this position in March, each March. So if you plan to have one student or one candidate to apply for this position, and you can generate support, let us know, and we'll be happy and pleased and honored to request one additional position in our PhD program in March by the University of Trieste, because at FIF we don't have any possibility to give the title, but we are working closely with the University of Trieste, and now we are negotiating the possibility to expand this program also to the University of Udine. The second question regarding biobank. As far as I know, we don't still have an official Indonesia liver biobank. There's a sort of program to be developed in the future. In the meantime, it's very good that Hasanuddin University is having their own biobank, but please mind that all the samples should be kept according to the international rules. If the samples are not kept under international rules, and we're very happy to help you to give the protocols if you don't have it, because if the samples are not kept under strict rules, the samples cannot be used for international joint studies. And this is important. In addition, I mean, I applaud several times to the wise decision by the Indonesian government to not allow the export of any biological samples from the country, which is very good. You have a lot of excellent research centers, I mean, Akman among the others, where you can perform all the necessary studies. But again, it's important that number one, the study will be defined in advance. The targets should be clarified in a very crystal way. And third, that the samples collected under the biobank should be properly conserved. But if you follow the rules of biobanking, and then you can collect samples from Hasanuddin, from the Hasanuddin covered region, that will be perfect. And it's going to be very easy to link this biobank with the other biobank we're going to be created.
Thank you, Prof. Tribelli, for the response. I think we will have one more question.
My name is still Claudio, you know that.
Sure, Prof. Okay, just Dr. Puji first, probably, and Ibu, sorry, I don't know your name, but we'll go to you, and then we'll go to the questions in the Zoom. Please, quick question if you can.
Yes, I have a quick question. Thank you, moderator. So my question addressed to Dr. Ernawati Arifin. So a simple question. How is the current hepatitis B vaccine development situation in Indonesia?
Okay, simple question, but you have a good answer. Okay, actually, the current status is we've already tried to develop until the laboratory scale, and then upscaling into 30 liters. Yeah, but we still have to optimize actually for the yield for the protein itself. So that's the current situation. And besides the vaccine for prophylaxis, like I mentioned before, so we've also tried to develop another prototype of vaccines, but still in the laboratory scale. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Thank you, moderator. I have one question to Dr. Cecilia.
Yes, it is said that hepatocellular carcinoma itself is heterogeneous. So is there, I mean, will biomarkers have a role in the surveillance for the disease and also for drug target? Thank you.
Thank you for the questions. For sure, biomarkers will help in the sense of the looking for the potential candidates like novel treatments and also for the prevention surveillance. But the issue is until now, there is no definite biomarkers for liver cancers due to its heterogeneity. And until now, the protocol for the liver cancer treatment is based more into the clinical characteristics, so like the staging of the disease based on the clinical parameter. So novel treatments based on the biomarkers at this moment still into the what we call that not so clinical determinations for the management of the disease, but into the let's say the so-called translational. But of course, the rapid advancements in the molecular medicines right now is, of course, it's very fast. And then now what we see in clinics, in the lab also is the use of the proteins or biomarkers for the treatment of the patients. Like we are talking about immunotherapy and then the joint or the combination therapy based on the biomarkers. But of course, we're talking about liver cancer, so the heterogeneity is very fast, and then it can be applied to a little proportion of the patients, but not to all patients. So the only curative treatments until now is surgery, either transplantations or liver resection that can really cut and get rid of the tumors. But for the systemic therapy using biomarkers, we are still on the way. So maybe it's going to be a very long journey, but I think we're going there. Thank you.
Thank you. You can directly ask the questions. Okay, so very sorry because we have a limited time. So I would like to move on to the questions in the Zoom. So there are 3 questions. I think our speakers can read directly. I will give the first chance to Dr. Erna to answer first.
Thank you, Dr. Kari. So I would like to try to answer the question 1. So how different is hepatitis B vaccine made in Indonesia compared to others? So actually, we developed 2 kind of different vaccines for prophylaxis and for therapeutic vaccines. For the prophylaxis one, actually, so we based on the molecular epidemiology that I mentioned before. So this is developed based on the genotype, which is dominant in Indonesia. So it's genotype B3. And subtype AGW. So that's about the characteristic of the vaccines. And the other one is about the vaccine therapeutics. So nowadays, there's vaccines going to clinical trial 3. It's a mix between hepatitis B surface antigens and hepatitis B core antigens. This is developed by NASFAC. But in Indonesia, so in here, so we try to develop a multi-epitope vaccines. So this is a multi-epitope which combine potential epitopes, and then one is integrated into the norovirus P particles, so it can become a dual vaccines. And the other one is multi-epitope based on data of genomic of hundreds of thousands in the genomic. So hopefully we can get a vaccine candidate which is covered a lot of different genotype and subtype, and also can cover to a lot of people in the population. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Erna, for the response. For Sylvia, if you would like to answer directly.
Thank you very much, Cory, and thank you for the question from the audience. Okay, so there is one major genetic disease that can increase bilirubin in blood, that is Crigler-Najjar syndrome type 1, but it doesn't affect only newborns because due to the genetic reason, bilirubin can be 40, 50 milligram deciliter of lifelong. So those patients need continuous chronic treatments. I'm not sure curcumin can be efficient because it's a chronic disease. So you need chronically consume the right amount of curcumin. Our model, the gum rat, is partly a Krieger-Najjar model because the hyperbilirubinemia is due to a mutation in the UGT1 and 1A1 hepatic enzyme responsible for bilirubin clearance. But bilirubin level decrease after 20 days due to some compensatory mechanisms. So I cannot tell you curcumin is effective in Krieger-Najjar because our model is mostly a pediatric, not a Krieger-Najjar model. Other conditions supposed to increase the possibility having neonatal hyperbilirubinemia is Gilbert syndrome that still affected UGT1A1 in the promoter. And in that case, I believe curcumin can be effective.
Thank you, Sylvia. I think we can move on straight to the last question for you. So regarding jaundice, what do you think we can do for future research between Italy and Indonesia?
I hope we can do a lot because we really believe, me and Dr. Jayanti, we really believe in curcumin as a alternative approach in neonatal hyperbilirubinemia. I really believe in the potential of the diagnostic chip, and because the diagnostic chips focus on individual genetic variants comparing the European population with the population here in Jakarta, in Indonesia, could be very important to really identify the mutation responsible for sensitivity or resistance to bilirubin. And I believe we can also apply protective bilirubin in neurodegenerative conditions. So I hope we can build a collaboration starting from.
Would you like to respond?
Yes, but I turn the question of Bapak Faris Kusneaedi to Cecilia and Professor Carniel because they are speaking about governmental cooperation and mine is non-governmental cooperation. Okay, so we have our partner and we do that with our partner, but is inappropriate for me to reply. It's for them. Thanks.
Professor Carniel, are you ready?
So my task, I represent the government, okay? So my task from the government is to promote scientific collaboration between the two countries. But of course, the embassy cannot do science. I mean, in my specific case, I'm a scientist, okay? So I'm not a diplomat, I come from the university. But of course, my research is in volcano seismology, so I cannot help much in, with liver. But of course, my main task is to put in contact research groups on one side and on the other side. So if someone from Indonesia say, okay, I want to, to develop research in a given field, even if it is completely far from mine, of course, I can try to help to establish contact, like I did, for example, for, I don't know, Islamic economy, Islamic food, which of course is completely out of my field, but yeah.
So as my concerns, I'm a scientist, particularly in liver disease. So of course, I think collaborative efforts in national and internationally is always benefit for all. So regarding the specific question, liver disease, we can do a lot, like Dr. Gassen already mentions, because we can each other. The epidemiology of what we have here in Asia is different, but what in Italy, maybe we can look for the common molecular markers, for example, and then to look for the like a common solutions for two countries. And I also need to add that I don't think that we should stop in the liver, but of course for other health related diseases, I think we can do a lot between two countries. Thank you.
Thank you very much for all the speakers and also the participants for actively engaging in our Q&A sessions. Now we have reached the end of our session, and please allow me to summarize our focus group discussion today. So Indonesia has a significant burden of chronic hepatitis B infection, with millions of people estimated to be chronically infected. Chronic HBV infection can lead to serious liver complications over time, including cirrhosis and liver cancer. Liver cancer is highly heterogeneous due to its various etiologies, such as in Indonesia, where it is mostly caused by hepatitis B infection. Meanwhile, in Western countries, is dominated by hepatitis C infection and metabolic diseases, as previously explained. And understanding liver cancer heterogeneity is also crucial. Therefore, translational research is very important to improve prevention, diagnosis, and treatment of chronic hepatitis B infection. And effective management strategies, including vaccination, are needed to reduce the new infections, and the local-based vaccine research and development for hepatitis B in Indonesia have been conducted. Hopefully, this will accelerate the reduction of hepatitis B infection. We also see the potential for clinicians to accelerate the exchange of information through telemedicine for diagnosis and treatment, which could be very useful for liver-related diseases patients in remote areas to gain access to treatment. And through today's discussion, we also gain insights into liver-related research, including the role of another liver product, bilirubin, which besides having toxic properties in neonates, also has the potential as a protective agent for neurodegenerative diseases. Today's meeting highlights our joint efforts, showcasing the effective exchange of experiences and information in liver-related research. We hope this will encourage further collaborative activities in this area. And by combining the strengths of Indonesia and Italy, bilateral collaboration can lead to more effective research and ultimately better outcomes for patients with liver-related diseases worldwide. Thank you for all our speakers for their wonderful presentations and to all participants for attending these sessions. On that note, we will close these scientific sessions. Now, I will hand back the hosting duties to the MC to formally conclude our meeting today. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I would like to say thank all the speakers and also the moderator at today's seminars. Next, there will be souvenirs given to all the speakers. So please to Dr. Sukawati, Dr. Arifin, Professor Campanella, dan Dr. Gatsin come forward. And I would like to invite Dr. Elizabeth Farah, PhD, as the head of Eijkman Research Center for Molecular Biology to give the souvenirs. Yeah, please give applause. Ah, yes, but 3, 2, 1, done. Once more, 3, 2, 1, and yeah, okay. To the next, Dr. Gatsin. Three, two, one. The next, Dr. Sukawati. Yeah, and the last, Dr. Arifin. Yes, please give applause. Okay, we will have a photo session. Three, two, one. Enough? Okay. Thank you very much, everyone. Please kindly be seated. Yes. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, we have to come to the end of this enlightening and informative seminar. I hope you all have enjoyed and benefited from the presentation and discussion of our distinguished speaker and guests. I would like to thank them once again for their valuable contribution and for making this seminar a success. I would also like to thank all of you for your participation and support. Thank you very much for all participants. I am Deamala. Thank you and see you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.